Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. You know, when I was a kid for my birthday, I got a telekinetic abacus. It's the thought that counts. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 games that I regret giving away. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, one of the problems, the hiccups of being a board game reviewer is I do get a lot of companies that send me games, and I end up I can't keep them all. As much as I'd like to, I can't, and I end up periodically giving them away to friends or donating them. I actually, when I moved from Wyoming to here to Idaho, I actually donated a ton of games to the library at the school I was teaching at. You just can't keep them all. And so there are a number of games I was thinking about recently that I had in the past that I loved, that for one reason or another I decided they needed to be given away, usually along with purges, but whatever. I got some honorable mentions here. First of all, Duel of Ages 2. Duel of Ages 2 was a great game, and one of the reasons why I didn't actually make the list is because they're doing World Spanner Factions, which, as I'm speaking, the Kickstarter is still up. I don't know if it'll still be up when when I air this, but that will it's kind of the successor to DOA 2, and I think it will be an awesome, and I'll be sure to get a copy of that when it's ready. Wings for the Baron from Victory Point Games was a game that it was kind of airplane manufacturers in World War One, and they were you're kind of competing to build the best aircraft. That was a great game. Star Trek Frontiers was a Star Trek themed kind of deck building adventure game. It was based on the Mage Knight system. Had a lot of fun with that. But anyway, I want to go ahead and jump right into my list here. So my number 10 is a war game called No Retreat 3 France 1940. This was a hex encounter game with cards that is I know there's a lot of games in the No Retreat system, and this is the only one I played. But this was a Victory Point Games game, and I think it had the puzzle board, if I remember correctly. And it was really cool because it was the German invasion of France in 1940. You're trying to reach your objectives, but but of course, there's some really good card play that you can engage in here. And the game was just flowed, and it was really fun and adventurous. And it was one of the I don't want to say it was one of the heavier World War II hex encounter games I played, but at the time I played it, I hadn't played a lot of the hex encounter games, and I enjoyed it. There's a level of complexity there, and as much as I enjoyed it, I don't think I appreciated it as much as I did later when I realized just how special that game truly was. But fun World War II 1940 scenario there. That is No Retreat 3 France 1940 from Victory Point Games. My number 9 is a game that when it came out, the company sent me a copy, and I was super excited about it. And I played it a few times, really liked it. And then I can't even remember why, but I gave it to Zach. I think Zach still got it. But it's Five Tribes from Days of Wonder. Now, Five Tribes from Days of Wonder was a great game where it's kind of based on Mancala, with where you're taking the different actions and you're moving in different spaces, and where you're landing, you're doing those actions. But there had so many resources and so many different paths to victory. It was really a victory point salad, and you kind of would arrange the tiles in certain ways. But it was a really quite enchanting game, and I hadn't really played a game like it when I played it. And I just remember Zach absolutely fell in love with it. I remember thinking Zach liked it better than I did. Maybe I was just a nice guy and said, I need room, I'll give it to Zach. I can't remember. I gave it to him though. And very fun game, and I know he's really enjoyed it. But that is Five Tribes. That is my number 9. That was from Days of Wonder. My number 8 is a game that was based on another game that I had, and I kind of thought, well, I've got the other game, I don't really need this one. But this was Dark Moon from Stronghold Games. Stronghold Games originally started out as BSG Express, Battlestar Galactic Express. And instead of using cards, you had this kind of dice system. Well, of course, they didn't have the IP, so when they actually printed the game, they kind of gave it its own IP, which is you're on, I think it was like a moon of Jupiter or Saturn, and you're in like a research station there, and one of you is a trader. There was a very kind of Thing vibe to this game. But as I say, instead of playing crisis cards, you'd each roll your die. and the die had a lot of negatives, very few positives, but you'd have to contribute die. And of course, if you're contributing negative die, people would automatically accuse you of being a hidden traitor. And it was a very fun riff on a Battlestar Galactica, and it played probably about half the time, and it had the real sense of tension and paranoia that you get with Battlestar. It did of course lack the theme, which is one of the big reasons why I like Battlestar Galactica so much. But I really like this dice betrayer system. It was a lot of fun. It was creepy. It had a great theme and a great tense atmosphere. It's one I miss. It's one I wouldn't mind playing again, and one I kind of still wish I had a hold of. But that is Dark Moon. That is my number 8, and that was from Stronghold Games. My number 7 is another war game, and it was from Victory Points Games as well. And this is Paul Koenig's The Bulge, 6th Panzer Army. Essentially, this is a Battle of the Bulge game, and it was a pretty small little game. It had a small board, but it was a kind of, again, a hex and counter game. And I loved this game a lot because it did a really good job of showing the use of terrain in that battle, and you could blow bridges and slow people down. And really, like the Germans are just coming at you, and the Americans are retreating, and the Americans are just doing everything they can to slow the advance, and the Germans are advancing, but just attrition is wearing them down, and these little hiccups and small squabbles, skirmishes, they're just holding it back and preventing it from moving as far as it wanted to. So I really liked it. It was great, kind of from both sides, and the challenge and the puzzle of trying to advance or trying to stop that advance. I liked how it was asymmetrical like that that way. As I say, though, I really thought it shined by showing the geography and how you're trying to fight for the roads. You want to control the roads, but even then you get traffic jams. Really good, really fun. Battle of the Bulge World War II war game I enjoyed quite a bit. So that is Paul Koenig's The Bulge 6th Panzer Army. That is from Victory Point Games. My number 6 is another Victory Point Games, and it's another war game, although this is a science fiction war game. This was Imperial Stars 2. Now, Imperial Stars 2, you had kind of different, I think, like different scenarios you could play through it, but it was, you had spaceships, and you would have bases. And what I really liked here is you had this kind of chit pull for activations. Like you'd pull the number of, a number, and that's like how many turns you got that round. And it was just a really engaging, I'd never played kind of a science fiction war game quite like that before. I mean, I guess I played Space Empires 4X, which is like that, but Space Empires 4X is much bigger. And while at its heart, Space Empires 4X is a war game, I always feel like there's also that civilization building aspect to it, and you didn't really have that here in Imperial Stars 2. It was just kind of a straight war game. I liked it because you got that kind of war game element, science fiction war game element, but it played pretty quickly. It was a pretty fun game that did not wear out its welcome. It did not last too long, and you were just kind of dedicated to what was going on in the scenario. Really enjoyed Imperial Stars 2. Again, it was just a little tiny box game, but I regret that I no longer have it in my collection. So that's Imperial Stars 2. That's from Victory Point Games, and that is my number 6. My number 5 is a horror-themed game, and I kind of, I did a list a while ago, and I said I had another game that kind of killed this game. And in a broad sense, that's true. But I do kind of miss it just for some of the quirkiness and some of the other little ideas and fun things it brought. And this is Last Night on Earth from Flying Frog. Now, Last Night on Earth is a zombie game, and I kind of felt like I started playing Zombicide so much I ended up getting rid of this. But I do feel like this game had such quirkiness to it. The cards you have really reflected kind of those B movie tropes very well. And one of the things is they have Flying Frog did very well is instead of having artwork, they would have actual photographs, and it's like models and actresses who were instead of just artwork. And so I just thought that was very, very fun. As somebody with a theater background, I always really appreciated that. So Last Night on Earth was just really fantastic, a fun game that I kind of felt was eclipsed by Zombicide, but I still kind of yearn for it, and I still kind of regret I gave it away. It's one I think George and Holly still have it. I wouldn't mind playing it with them again at some point. So that is Last Night on Earth. That is my number 5, and that is from Flying Frog Productions. My number four is a game I remember when it came out, and this was when it wasn't terribly easy to get stuff over the internet. At least I didn't know how back then. Um, and it wasn't available in a lot of outlets. I don't think Amazon had it. Um, but this was Napoleon in Europe from Eagle Games, I believe. And Napoleon in Europe was this great, grand, epic game. It was a Glenn Drover design. It was this grand, epic Napoleonic game. There was kind of an Axis and Allies feel to it, but you also had a lot of you had a lot of nuance. You had a lot of subtlety. You had different scenarios. Um, but at the end of the day, it was just kind of another dice chucker. But I really liked it. I liked how you would have kind of the strategic board where you would move armies and stuff along the board, but then you would also have this tactical battle board, and you had the tactical battle board, and how that would work is you had like your center, your right, your left flank, and then kind of like your main line, your reserve line, and you could like shift units. And as soon as somebody broke through one of your lines, battle was over, you lost. And so that was always a lot of fun. And then not long after this, I got the American Civil War, which played pretty similarly. This is one I still got to this day. And I remember the American Civil War didn't come with that battle board. It just gave you kind of said, this is how you set it up. So when I gave away Napoleon in Europe, I actually kept the battle board from Napoleon in Europe there. But it was a great, grand, strategic Napoleonic game that I really enjoyed and I really kind of miss. And it's one of those things I'm kicking myself for. I think I actually kept it until I moved to Texas, and it was in that purge when I moved to Texas. But absolutely stellar game. Really liked it quite a bit. So that is my number four, Napoleon in Europe. That is from Eagle Games. My number three is a game that was kind of an open sandbox game set in the Caribbean, and this was Merchants and Marauders from Z-Man Games. This game was really a lot of fun. You would, of course, go to different locations. You would trade. It was kind of a pick up and deliver, but you could also go to war. You could become a pirate. You could have other nations hunting you down. You could uh, uh, you could engage in all sorts of interplay with other people on the board. It was really good and it was really immersive. You could also too bank you had like victory points and you could spend them, but there were coins, but you could spend them. You could put them in a bank, these little treasure chests, and at the end of the game you reveal all your points. But then you open that up, and however much you banked, of course, contributed um, to your victory there. So that was really, really cool. That kind of hidden point mechanic there too. I really liked this game, and it was very thematic and it was very immersive. You really got a sense of being a pirate in the Caribbean here. I really liked it quite a bit. I always kind of kept hoping they would do a new edition. WizKids did Clash of Cultures, which was from the same designer. That was also a Z-Man game. They redid it, just this beautiful new edition. I love Clash of Cultures. I love the original, but I love the new edition so much. And I kept kind of hoping maybe WizKids would pick it up and do it as another title there, like a deluxe edition, like they did for Clash of Cultures. Really, really, really liked Merchants and Marauders, and I really regret the fact that it did not survive a purge. So that is Merchants and Marauders. That is my number three, and that is from Z-Man Games. Okay, my number two. This one hurts. This one hurts a lot because this was a game I gave away and I did not want to give away. I liked the game so much. I liked the game not only because I thought it was a really fun game, but I really liked the theme and frankly the educational aspect of the game. In fact, if I still had this game, I might use it. I might have used it when I was teaching American history courses because it's so good. This is Freedom: The Underground Railroad from Academy Games. This is a game where you are trying to assist people who had been enslaved find their way to freedom in Canada, moving along the Underground Railroad. But of course, you would have these slave catchers that would move around trying to intercept them and return them to slavery. And it was a heartbreaking game, and it really stirred up quite a few emotions here. Now, when I reviewed this game, I reviewed it with my buddy Chase, and he helped me out here when we did this. And we had played it with him and his girlfriend at the time, and everybody really liked it. Everybody got a big kick out of it. Well, as I was moving and I was getting some of my games, he asked if he knew I was purging games. He asked if he could have this one for his girlfriend because she really wanted it. And I was like, well, no, I really want it. He's like, oh, she'd love it so much, please. And Chase is such a good guy, and he'd help me out. And I'm thinking, oh, I figure I could give it away. Maybe I could buy it later at some other point. Okay, so I went ahead as a good gesture. I had to get, make room for some more games. So I went ahead. I gave him a copy of this game. And not long after I gave him a copy of this game, they broke up. So it is what it is. Anyway, so she and she and I are still, friends on Facebook and what have you. And we've talked about it, and she thanked me for it. But I was it was a little upset about it. Anyway, I really do love this game a lot, and if you haven't had a chance to play it, you should check it out because it's, like I say, it's great. It's a really fun game, but it's some really good educational history there that people need to know. But that is my number 2. That is Freedom: The Underground Railroad, and that is from Academy Games. Okay, finally, my number 1. Now here is the dealio. When I made this list, I was lamenting having given up this game, and I mentioned it to some people. I think I even said something on the channel, and somebody commented. And I know what it was. We were doing the live. I was doing the live stream with Ray a few weeks ago, where we were talking about his top 10 favorite games, and this game was on his list. And he said it was on there, and I said I regretted giving it away. Somebody said, you know what? It's actually up on. They're doing another Kickstarter, but you could buy this game through it. So I said, screw it. I went ahead, I bought this game, and I should be getting a copy early next year, I'm hoping. But I really miss it a lot because it's terribly fun. It is another open sandbox game, not unlike Merchants and Marauders, but this is Xia Legends of a Drift System. Now, I had done the original Kickstarter for this game, as I recall. And I did the Kickstarter for the game, and I got it, and I fell in love with it. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed this game quite a bit. But when the time came for me to move to Texas, and again, I'm just looking for reasons to get rid of games, I thought, well, you know what? I've got this, and I've got Firefly, and they're very, very similar. And I'll be blunt. For me, I think Firefly is the superior game. I like the theme. I like the IP. But I really did like Xia, and I just made the call. I got 2 games. They're similar. I'm getting rid of one of them. Firefly made the cut. Xia didn't. And now I've got Firefly and a bunch of the stuff, not all of it. So I went ahead and I ordered the Game Found that Gale Force 9 just did to get the whole thing. So we'll see what becomes of my existing Firefly stuff. But Xia was really fun because it had it had some great mechanisms in there. I like, you're trying to get the fame. You're trying to carry stuff on your ship. You had the almost Tetris stuff you were doing on your ship at the time. That was very fun. You could fly through, you could go into planets, you could engage in combat. You had all sorts of random events that could happen. I never played with the expansions. I made it a point to order the expansions because Ray was really talking up the expansions. So I'm really excited to get this game back. And maybe when I get it back, maybe we'll play it with Ray, and we'll figure maybe a playthrough or something. We'll see what we can do. But I really, really did enjoy this game quite a bit. I really regret giving it away. Really looking forward to the fact that I'll get a copy again here before too long. So that is Xia Legends of a Drift System. That was from Far Off Games, and that was my number 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. I'm very eager. Do you have any games that you gave away or sold that you regret, that you're not too happy with? Let me know. I'm eager to know what games still tug at the heartstrings here. What do you think of my list? Are there games that you would be sad to give away that you still have? I'm very interested in your opinion, so please leave a comment here on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We really enjoy hearing back from you and that feedback. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, of course, check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history. I post my lectures there. And I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to leave a thumb for this video on Board Game Geek, as I'm sure we'll put it up there eventually. And also, too, if you really enjoy the content we put out here, I'd ask you to please click the Super Thanks button here on the YouTube page and leave a tip. That helps us out a lot as well. I recently broke up with my girlfriend because she had a lazy eye. I think she was seeing someone on the side. Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know
I,
you know,
I